So hello everyone and welcome to today's session on Microsoft's latest AI-powered teaching and learning tools available within Copilot and Teams for Education. So thank you for joining us today. Just so everybody knows, the webinar is being recorded, and as usual, we will distribute that to everyone here today and everyone who registered in the next sort of day or so then. And there will be a Q&A at the end, so please post any questions you have in the chat, and we'll make sure to go through them at the end then before we finish. So just to go over the agenda quickly, my name is Mark Price and I'm the Business Development Director here at Pew. Plenty of updates to cover here today around Microsoft's AI tools in education. So we'll start by looking at the Teach module. This is a brand new AI module in M365 Education. We'll then touch upon the Study and Learn agent, which is the student's perspective. And just quickly at the end, then we'll touch upon Adobe's new education offerings. So they have brought out new AI-driven tools and packages, and we can look at how that can complement your existing Microsoft agreements then, bringing in some of those essential creative tools at very affordable pricing. So we'll dive straight into explaining what these new AI-powered teaching and learning tools are. So I was at a Microsoft AI in Education conference a couple of weeks ago in Seattle. So Microsoft did explain that we are still at the beginning of the wave when it comes to AI in education. So I think the message was, don't worry if you haven't started looking at AI or developing your own sort of organizational AI strategy. You are in the same boat as most other educational institutions in that regard. But if you have started looking in, started to adopt these AI tools into your classrooms and into your lecture theatres, then you are ahead of the game there, ahead of the curve. So, but again, if you haven't, there's no better time than now really to start looking at bringing some of these AI tools into your strategies and into your classrooms. And these two, so these two are a great way to bring in AI tools. There's no additional cost. So these two modules here we're going to be covering today are available at no additional cost if you are already an M365 customer. So they are AI tools powered by Copilot, but they are included in M365A SKUs. So there's no extra license or no premium Copilot license needed then to start using these tools straight away. So first of all, we've got the Teach module. So this is for teachers and educators. So this can be accessed within the Copilot sort of app homepage. As you can see in that GIF there running on the screen, so it's this is the sort of default landing page now for Microsoft. So if you go to office.com, this is your default page that you land at, and it's also the same interface as your Copilot app that you can install and use directly on a Windows or a Mac machine. Everything is wizard based, so you can see that it's very easy to use, and that sort of user interface is then replicated across all the experiences, so across the web, desktop app, and even in Microsoft Teams. So that's something we'll go into a bit later on then. So one of the key features in the Teach module is creating lesson plans. You can come in here, you can type some notes, or you can paste some resources you might already have. You can even come in and upload full documents. If you've got documents you want to base those lesson plans on, you can do that as well. So whether they're Word, PDF, PowerPoints, that kind of thing. And I think the main thing is just being able to use your existing content really without having to create from scratch. You know, Copilot is about being more productive and more efficient in your day-to-day tasks. So we know teachers and educators, you know, they've got a tough task to keep on top of all that in such a demanding, resource-intensive job. So it's about giving them that sort of head start, really. being able to create, reuse, and adapt new and existing resources then to make sure they're up to date and suitable for all students of all ages and abilities. So the GIF shows there you can create a lesson plan just in a few seconds and a few clicks, and then from there you can save it to OneDrive, you can open it in Word and edit it as you wish. And one of the key things there as well is you can align to education standards. So they've got over 35 different countries' education standards built in. So you can make sure that's aligned then to UK standards, for example. So flashcards, this is another really cool feature. So here, similar to the lesson plans, you can upload some text, you can upload some notes, or you can upload existing documents, and then you can ask Copilot to go off and generate those flashcards automatically based on those topics and that content. And there's different types of flashcards. So you've got your term and definitions, you've got your question and answer or multiple choice questions, and you can select a mixture of them then to mix it up a bit and keep students engaged in that learning. I think the main thing is, it's taken advantage again of existing materials teachers and educators have, but saving, hours of effort and time that go into creating these from scratch, really. And once created, you can share them in Teams, within assignments in Teams directly, or you can copy and paste the link and distribute them to all your students. And there are also integrations with LMS as well. So we're not going to go into too much detail, but there is work behind the scenes going on to bring these into sort of Blackboard and Canvas and Moodle and that kind of thing. So that's something that's been developed as well as we go along. So Rubrics is another one. Any teacher or educator here today will know how tough these can be and how complex they can get. So again, it's about giving you that head start. It still gives you all the settings. You can go in and align them to standards. You can set your grade levels. You can create custom rubric scales, or you can use some of the built-in Copilot scales to save time as well. And either way, then the next stage, once you take that through, you can edit and tweak it as you wish. And again, save into OneDrive. You can edit in Word and Excel and bring those straight into Teams for Education then as well, so straight into your assignments. So those three features we've looked at, they should already be available to use in the Teach module if you are an M365 Education customer. The next two, so these, and how it works with Microsoft is they roll things out in phases. So these should either be available, these next two, so quizzes and fill in the blanks. If they're not shown for you yet, they should be coming in the next sort of week or two at max. So starting with quizzes, again, these are AI-powered Copilot quizzes. You can come in and select sort of multiple choice questions. You can select free text questions. You can specify that students need to explain their workings or their answers, that kind of thing. And you can add things like explanations as well then. So whether they get it right or wrong, they can see, exactly why, and that helps to reinforce that learning then. And like I said, fill in the blanks. So this is pretty self-explanatory, but again, something that either should be out now or next week or two. So here you can paste in existing text or paragraphs or upload full documents again. You can ask Copilot to use it exactly as you've pasted it, or you can ask it to make some tweaks so you can get some different content based on the same topics. And I think it's just about sort of getting those students engaged, giving different sort of forms, so getting your resources across then in different forms. Matching is another one, so I won't go into it today, but it's very similar where students match terms and definitions and things then. So I think having those different forms of learning, some people might prefer text-based learning, some prefer graphical, some prefer sort of game-based learning activities like these. And it's just about providing that personalized experience then for individual students, or even at a sort of a course or a class level then, but having that ability to personalize it down to an individual student level is quite impressive and quite powerful here. So like I said, they're features that are out or coming very soon. There are 3 more which I'll touch on very quickly here as well. So these come under the sort of modified content umbrella of AI tools. So the first one is differentiate instructions. With this one, you can reuse existing materials, but then you can adapt those materials for low, medium, and high level of learners. So that will do things like add further help, further guidance. You can add hints and examples and things like that, even down to the level of, turning a teaching resource you may have. If you want it for a low level, you can turn that into a step-by-step guide then, like you see on screen there. So really drilling down to different levels of support for different tiers of learners. So similarly, the adjust or modify reading tool, this is similar to the other one, but it's about sort of reading level. So say if you had a piece of text that you've got for a year 11 students and you want to sort of reuse that for year 9 students, or in a HE, FE setting, if you've got sort of 3rd year resources that you want to sort of introduce at year 1, so that you can set the sort of level of your students. And a key thing there is if you are sort of bringing that down a level and making it more accessible and more understandable for sort of younger students, what you can do is specify certain keywords. So say if there's keywords that you don't want it to sort of get rid of, or sort of try and dumb down a bit in a way, you can specify them, and what it'll do then is it can automatically create a glossary at the end, so that it'll keep the key terms, but at the end it'll explain, so any students who don't quite fully understand that's there to help them then. So the last one in this sort of modified content umbrella is expand and add examples. So this is quite a powerful one as well. So you can take existing text, existing resources, upload documents, and if you've got a lot of sort of theory work, you can use Copilot then to add examples into it to reinforce that learning and contextualize that content a bit more. So you can add 1, 2, or 3 examples, make them real world, historic, scientific, that kind of thing. And again, it just helps reinforce that learning and get them thinking of real world examples and relating to real world scenarios then to make it more meaningful and more memorable, really. So again, there's a diverse set of tools in here which give you different tools to use for different students, different ages, and certain students will have their preferences of how they learn then, so you're covering all bases. The last one then sort of coming soon, so this isn't part of the modified content sort of collection of tools, but this is a really interesting one and a common theme we're discussing with universities and colleges and schools. So it tends to be around the questions, of should students be using AI with their work and within their assignments, possibly specifically. Can they use AI? Should they be using it? Should they be using it for certain bits, but not others? Do students think they're cheating if they're using AI in their work? Or even if, do educators think that students are cheating if they're using AI in their assignments and things like that? So this feature coming soon basically addresses that explicitly. So it gives you a few options of setting the expected use of AI. So for example, you can select that full AI use is allowed. So that's like a bit of a free rein, or you can say only to sort of tweak and modify existing content that you've written already, so around the grammar and the flow and things like that. You can say it can only be used to sort of brainstorm in the early stages, and then you have to write it all yourself. Or you can even go down to the point of saying, no AI should be used in this assignment at all. Then, so they're the sort of 4 preset options there. And there are a few other bits then. So if you do specify that AI can be used for certain areas, you can even, or the educators can even specify specific prompts that they could be using. So some example prompts that either they could be using directly or using as examples to develop their own prompts, and even to the point of being able to open those prompts directly into Copilot then. So, they can go from the assignment straight through to Copilot. The pre-selected prompt is there, pre-populated, ready to go for them to run. And it's not just in the teach module. So like I said, these are all Copilot features, and they're also integrated into Teams for Education. So again, a lot of these features will already be in Teams for Education, and some will come in the next couple of weeks and next couple of months as we go. So you can see in this GIF running here, so within Teams for Education, in the Teams classwork, for example, you can see a Create with Copilot button. So within Teams itself, you can click that, and that'll take you through to the same interface as we looked at earlier. So you've got your lesson planning, your flashcards, your fill in the blanks, that kind of thing, and it's all the same interface, same wizard based interface for your teachers then. Quizzes is another one, so that's coming to Teams as well if it's not already there. So you can go into an assignment, for example, in Teams and click Create with Copilot and draft quizzes that way. So they could be built into your assignments from Teams then as well. And they are bringing that functionality also to OneNote. So that's something I think coming in the next maybe couple of months, but I think Microsoft is starting to bring those Copilot features into tools that educators and teachers are already using. So it's bringing them into Teams, bringing them into to OneNote, and just making it easily accessible them in their sort of day-to-day flow of work. And just to end this sort of educator's perspective, just touching on learning activities. So this is a term that you'll probably be seeing a lot more. So basically, this is just the term that Microsoft use for the collection of things like flashcards, quizzes, fill in the blank. So they're all classified as learning activities. So this gives you a bit of a consolidated view of all those activities. You can keep an eye on them and track them easier. But this will be coming very soon as a standalone app. So like your Microsoft Word and Excel and PowerPoint, they're standalone apps within the Office suite. So this will be its own standalone app then to bring all those activities into one place. So introducing then the study and learn agent. So this then flips it to the student's perspective. So we've already looked at a lot of the tools for educators. So with this is again already included in M365 student ASCUs. They should already be able to access this agent. So there's no additional license or premium Copilot needed. They should be able to access this. And I think on the next slide, you can see this is a student's view. So within the M365 Copilot app, or like the homepage for office.com, they should be able to see that usually pre-pinned in the Copilot menu on the left. If it's not there, you might need to adjust some settings and some admin controls, especially around the Copilot. And again, especially if you have students between the ages of 13 and 18, then which you have to go in and specifically turn, AI features on for them. And again, you can turn it on within the tools in a Copilot chat. So this is your sort of standard Copilot chat interface. as well as on the left, you can see there if you're typing a message, you can click Tools and click Study and Learn, and that will open that agent view in a Copilot chat. So while that video is sort of running on the background to give you a bit more of the student's perspective, what this lets students do is to study at their own pace and in their own time. So it's a conversational AI tool. So students can go in and like you see, they can ask questions, they can converse with AI, which is powered by Copilot behind the scenes. And rolling out very soon, they'll also be able to create their own learning activities. So things like quizzes and flashcards and fill in the blanks, they'll be able to create their own versions of them to help with their learning. And what this is designed to do, so it's not just a case of answering student questions and that's it. So it'll give them sort of guidelines and get them thinking, to develop those sort of critical thinking and analytical thinking skills. So it's not just a case of like a Google search where it'll just give you the answer. As you can see, it sort of guides them through that process. It asks them thought-provoking questions. It'll ask them if they want to produce flashcards and things like that to help reinforce that learning. And, it's just a case of having personalized learning and study guides, personalized activities, and giving power to those students then to sort of learn and practice in their own time. So we have gone through quite a bit there, quite a few different features and everything. So just to summarize quickly, so you've got your teach module. So this is for teachers and educators. This is where you can create AI-powered lesson planning, assessment planning, things like that. And that brings in the learning activities as well. Study and learn agent then, so that's an AI agent. It's a conversational tool where students can personalize their studies and again, bring in learning activities as part of that. And just to define those learning activities then, so like you can see, they feed to both those perspectives, but that's available to both teachers, educators, and students. And that's your flashcards, quizzes, fill in the blanks, those kind of activities to help reinforce that learning and that teaching. So before we finish, I just wanted to take this opportunity to quickly cover some new education offerings from Adobe. So similar to Microsoft, Adobe are bringing out more and more AI-powered tools and features into their solutions. So I've just got one quick slide, a simple slide summing up some of those education offerings. Most of us know Adobe are and have been leaders around the creative side of things for many years, but things like Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, those kind of professional tools. But that's what Adobe have now is around the Adobe Express, is an alternative product that can complement Microsoft agreements as well. So maybe for certain scenarios where you don't need the full Creative Cloud suite of apps, Express can fit in quite nicely there. And it's targeted for more of those non-creative departments then. So things like languages, STEM subjects, that kind of thing, where you'll have your Microsoft licensing, but Express just brings that sort of easy to use tool to give the essential creative side of things around creating social media, images and graphics, simple videos and flyers and posters and that kind of thing. And I think the biggest thing with Express is it's designed to be sort of pick up and go. So there's no steep learning curve that you'll typically have with those professional tools like Photoshop and InDesign, Premiere Pro. You should be able to just go in and start creating pretty quickly then, people of all abilities. So that's what you can see there. So Express is available as a standalone app on the left there. So that's very reasonably priced within HEFE. And that's why it's a good bolt-on option for somebody with existing Microsoft agreements, for example. And it's got Adobe's AI functionality built in then. So you can create those graphics and posters and things like that and videos using natural language prompts, similar to how you'd interact with Copilot, for example. And then behind the scenes, that uses Adobe's Firefly AI models. So Express is a fairly new product in its current form, but the two other ones you can see on the screen there, so these are brand new education offerings from Adobe. So they've packaged a few of those tools up for education solutions. So the first offering there, so the middle one is around Acrobat Studio for education. So the core user base for this will typically be your faculty and staff. So it brings in your usual Acrobat tools. It's got the AI assistant, which is Adobe's sort of AI conversational tool built into Acrobat itself. So if you've got a lot of staff spending a lot of time in Acrobat, sort of going through long PDF contracts or forms, or even teaching resources in PDFs, that's a big time saver there. PDF Spaces is another one. So that's Adobe's new AI-powered collaboration space, where multiple users and departments can collaborate on PDFs. So that's in that one as well as Express, which I've already covered then. And then the one on the right, so that's the full suite of Creative Cloud apps then. So Creative Cloud Pro Plus for education. So that's your usual Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, that kind of thing, your professional tools. So that full package is still the sort of go-to option for design-specific staff and faculty, and even design students as well. So that should be the go-to offering you provide for students of things like graphic design and media studies and film and animation and that kind of thing. And that will help them develop sort of industry standard skills then that can be transferred straight to industry when they embark on those careers. And we are seeing a lot of organizations now doing a bit of a mix and match approach. So like I said, you can have your full Creative Cloud Pro Plus for your design staff and your design students. You can have your Acrobat Studio then for the rest of your staff and faculty, and then you can give the Express then to all your other students to give that basic creative tool. So you've got some creative tools available to all staff and students in that way. And just one quick thing as well in terms of complementing Microsoft agreement. So when we come down to the IT side of things, you've got your user identities. So a good thing with Adobe and Microsoft integrations is you can use your Entra IDs then across Adobe apps. So you can bring those in as federated IDs. You can create a sync across from Microsoft over to Adobe. You can even set things like single sign-on, so it makes it easier for those users to access your Adobe tools using the same accounts as Microsoft. But also from an IT perspective, then it gives greater control and keeps that security around your IDs, and it's easier to administer and manage then. So you've got one set of IDs across Microsoft and Adobe instead of having to sort of replicate them and have different ID types. So I just wanted to introduce them quickly, as we are an Adobe Platinum reseller as well as a Microsoft solutions partner and the EdLSP. So we have dedicated teams for Adobe and Microsoft, and also many other software and hardware vendors as well then. So that brings the sort of main content to a close. But on the topic of Adobe, I just wanted to plug this quickly. So next Tuesday at 11 o'clock, we have got a webinar. So you're all welcome to join us there, where we will actually be demoing Express within education. Adobe are joining us for that one, and we'll also be recapping some of those core Adobe offerings as well. It's a short half-an-hour session. It's completely free, so please come along. And also, if you think of any colleagues who might benefit from that, please pass on the invite, so that's open to anyone. I think Tom's just posted a link to register for that. The second point there is around the next Microsoft updates webinar. So we do take a break in December to give everyone a chance to relax over the holiday period. So we will be back in January. It'll be slightly earlier, so we will be doing it on the second Wednesday of the month, which is the 14th, instead of the third Wednesday because of Beth then the following week. And I think there should be a link to register for that in the chat as well. And one final thing, so the save the date. So details of this will be coming soon, but if anyone here was at our Adobe event in London this year, we're doing it again, a similar format in Adobe's office in Shoreditch again in February. So the date has been penciled in for the 25th of February, but yeah, we'll bring more details and invitations, formal invitations around that as soon as we have them. So I think we are sort of bang on time. I think there is a quick poll. It's only a couple of 2 short questions, so I think Tom should be launching that any second. So we do value your feedback. If you've got any feedback on today's content, or if you've got any suggestions for future content, so just to make sure that we align our content with your needs. So we have heard a lot recently about sort of people wanting updates for teams in education and that kind of thing. So hopefully this has addressed a lot of those areas that you can start looking at. But yeah, please send them along. And yes, I think, Tom, has there been any questions come through that you want to run through?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of questions in the chat. So the first one is, do you know when the UK standards are coming, as I cannot currently see them on my Copilot app? I have noticed that someone has answered in the chat to this, so that there is currently one UK standard included. So I don't know if you've got any more information on that.
Okay, yeah. So I did have a conversation with a customer on this a couple of days ago, actually. So I think, like I said, 35 countries are included in there. So I think UK should be in there. I think one of the customers saw that they could see Wales and Scotland, I think they mentioned, but possibly not the English one. So whether the English comes under UK and then you've got a separate one for Wales and Scotland, but they should be in there. What I can do is get a full list after this webinar and share that. And if there are any missing, then we can feed that back to the Microsoft team, because I'm pretty sure UK should be on there.
Okay, next question. Is there a setting within Copilot so it becomes more personal or less personal to the individual user?
I'm not sure on a setting as such. I mean, Copilot does, especially if you've got the sort of paid versions. I know with the M365 Copilot, for example, that will mold itself to your preferences and things like that. So as well as being able to tell it how you want it to output and how you want it to sort of process those prompts and things, you can tell it that specifically, explicitly, but you can, it will automatically develop on the things like the Microsoft Graph, but also I know Avion's touched upon things like semantic index, I believe it's called, where it'll pick up on your characteristics and your personality and mold it that way. One thing to mention there as well is in Copilot chat, something we've been using a lot internally at Pew is recently they have added the option within settings to give it instructions across the whole Copilot experience. So I think that's something we actually looked at recently, wasn't it, Tom, where instead of having in every prompt to say, please respond in UK English, for example, you can set that at a sort of high level. And we tested it actually, and it was doing things like generating emails in Outlook in UK English without having to tell it every time. So that's a way to sort of give it high level instructions across the whole Copilot experience then, which should help personalize it even more. And again, if someone needs help in finding that that setting, we can work with them to show them that. But it's I think it's in the Copilot where you enter your prompts and things. Top right, I think there's the 3 dots and there's settings, and then you have a sort of free text box where you can input instructions then across the whole Copilot experience.
So another question, we already provide students with AI 0, which is no AI, AI 1 and AI 2. Will we be able to customize the AI levels to our policy?
I think that's referring to the set expected use of AI, is it, around what we've shown there? because that's a feature coming soon, we haven't got all the details on that yet. So what we saw was four existing presets, so similar to what they've just explained. So you've got your no use, use to sort of modify, AI use to brainstorm, and I think full. Yeah, so you got your full, some, brainstorm, and no use. Basically, I think they're the 4 presets for now. Whether they're bringing custom ones, I'm not quite sure, but that's something worth keeping an eye on when it comes out as a full feature. And also things like user voice, so we can sort of feed that back to the Microsoft team and ask them to look at those kind of functionalities then. And if certain things get enough votes, then they get looked at and hopefully implemented if enough people are asking for that particular functionality.
Then we've got another question. Would it be possible to get the slides after the webinar?
Yeah. So I know we shared the recording link, but yeah, it should be easy enough to share the slides as well. That's completely fine.
Then we've got some questions on the Adobe side of things. So is Adobe Express just web-based or a separate app?
I believe it's just web-based at the moment. Yeah, so how we typically access it is web-based when it first came out. So I know Express, like I said, it's fairly new in its current form, but it used to be Spark, I think, originally years ago. So it's kind of developed from there. But in its current form, I believe it's just a web-based tool, but you can get sort of mobile apps and things like that as well then.
And then last question, and again, it's on Adobe Express. So on Adobe Express, mine says AI Assistant is disabled. I've looked in the Adobe admin, but can't see how to enable it. Any ideas?
In Express, did you say, sorry, or in Acrobat?
It says on Adobe Express, mine says AI Assistant is disabled.
Right, okay, that might be a licensing query actually. It depends whether Express is licensed or if it's a sort of free version. I know you get Premium Express as well then, so whether certain AI tools are under the Premium Express version only, possibly. But that's something we can follow up with afterwards. And we can get Adobe involved if it's a sort of technical glitch. We can get Adobe involved then to have a look at that. But if it's a licensing issue, we can look at that and see what sort of options you'd need if you can't access it. What licenses you'd need to access it moving forward then.
Okay, and that's all the questions. So back to you for close.
Cool. Yeah. So just ending slide. So thank you for coming. If you do have any more questions, please just let us know. Or if you want more details on any of these topics, please get in touch. So our details are on screen there, or just get in touch with your account manager directly as you usually do. But yeah, just thank you again for coming. Hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday in the Adobe webinar. You can see Express in action, and maybe some of the customers who had those questions and that interest around Express and those tools, it'd be worth joining there, because we have got Meredydd, the Adobe expert, in to present Express there and answer your questions. And again, we'll be in touch soon with details of the next Microsoft webinar in January and that London Adobe event in February then. So that will all be coming soon. So yeah, there we are. Thank you very much and see you soon.